Hello. So, welcome to day 15 already of the Honey Advent. And I am delighted to be joined by Honey Sommelier, Kirsty Gearing. Hello, Kirsty.
Hi, Paula. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Oh, and we've also got Claire, who is going to be quite a honey expert after this Advent because I think you just pumped it all of them. So, Kirsty, today I am getting to taste as well your honey that you sent to me very kindly. So, would you like to say a bit about the honey and the special glass that you've put it in?
Yes, of course. So I must say this isn't my honey. It's just my favorite honey. And it's Greek vanilla fir honey. And it only comes from a very, very, very small area in Greece, which is on the Peloponnese Peninsula, a very, very mountainous area. And I thought such a lovely Christmas honey because coming from a fir trees are what we associate as our Christmas trees in our home. Christmas time is a time that's full of sparkles and twinkles, and actually, this honey is extremely unique. I don't know if you can see, but it literally has its own sparkles. They are naturally there. This
Oh,
lovely pearlescent, sparkly, twinkly sheen, which is very, very unique to this honey. And also because of its rarity, because it only comes from this very small part of Greece, and it's particularly difficult to harvest. Some years you just won't get any. It makes it very rare and very precious, which is another thing we love to celebrate about Christmas. It's a special occasion, so we want something that's special. To add to the specialness, I have popped my honey into this lovely little glass, which I'm also not sure if you can tell, but it literally has little fir branch engravings up the sides. So perfect glass for the perfect honey. So
oh,
yes, so this honey comes from a mountain called Panachaiko, which is in a sort of a northern central part of the Peloponnese Peninsula in Greece, very, very mountainous. The vanilla fir trees that grow there are also known as the Cephalonian fir, Abies cephalonica. And although it grows in other parts of Greece, in this part of Greece, it has a very special relationship with a scale insect, which is called I'm going to refer to my notes because she's got a tricky little name, Physochermes hemicryphus.
wow.
And it has been shown to produce this very unique colour and the shimmery texture. So, coming from a scale insect, this is not a nectar floral honey. This is a honeydew honey. So, the bees are gathering the little droplets, the little secretions that these scale insects leave when they've been sucking on the new fresh shoots of these fir trees, and in the little nodes of the branches. They form on the branches as these really quite sticky, gluey white droplets. And if it's been especially dry, they can actually appear like little beads, little white candied beads. So the bees gather these up, take them back to the hive, do their magical processing. And when it comes to the beekeepers seeing that the frames are being capped over, it's a little bit of a race against time because once the cappings have gone over that honey, it's quite a short space of time where it turns into this spectacularly thick, unguent, gluey texture. It's ever so thick, ever so thick. So it makes it very, very tricky to extract. So the combs and the frames are rushed back to the extractors, and the extraction will take place. Sometimes, they've been left a little too long and this stickiness is really set in, as the centrifugal force of the frames in the spinners and the extractors happens, they will blow out of the frames. So a lot of the honey can get lost, which makes it even more precious because it's such a difficult thing to find in the first place. And then they can't always extract it anyway. So if you're able to get vanilla fir honey, treasure it because it's a real, real treat. But so the other thing to say about this honey being very, very thick. and sticky and unguent, tells us with this really thick viscosity that it's really, really low in water content. That's what's giving it its thickness. And the other remarkable thing about this honey is that it's really low in sugar. It has a very, very low glycemic index. So if you're a little, if you're diabetic or you're following a low glycemic sort of regimen, this is the perfect honey for you because it's really gentle on your tummy. It's very, very low in sugar. It's quite acidic. It has quite a high acidity for honey. It's around about 5.4 to 6.2. And both these qualities are things that are going to mean that this honey will hardly ever crystallize. Excuse me. So this beautiful, silky texture will stay in the jar probably for as long as you've got it. And that's if you don't eat it too quickly, like me. So
Oh,
yeah, let's have a little sniff, shall we,
mm,
Paula? I'm getting this moving around in the glass. I've had it held in my palm to get it warm to start releasing some of those aroma volatiles. And what I love about this honey too is it's not one of those honeys that's really bold and in your face. It's extremely sophisticated, and it's rather kind of it makes you wait for it. It has a very, very delicate aroma, and you kind of have to work a little bit to decipher it.
mm,
So for me, when I start sniffing this, it's quite a what we would call quite a weak aroma for a honey. You can have all manner of types of aromas, but this one is definitely on the weak scale. It's really, you really have to work at it to
mm.
open up your nostrils and get your brain to start telling you what it's like. So for me, first of all, I find it very warm, lactic. It's a little bit biscuity. I kind of get a sort of a biscuity sort of smell.
Yeah.
Then I start to sort of move into something that's a little bit vegetal, maybe something like dry hay, something a bit earthy, maybe the actual kind of outer part of the vanilla pod. This is called vanilla for honey after all. There is something mildly vanilla-y about it. And then also the other thing that I start to pick up is there's something slightly resinous, something aromatic. So perhaps we are picking up a little bit of the fir resin. Um, it's quite refreshing. And I also kind of get something along the lines of very slightly perfumed. Sometimes I think I'm smelling something like orange zest or orange blossom. And there's quite a bit of a sort of a beeswaxy smell that I get from this honey too.
Mm.
So it's beautiful, but you do have to kind of really kind of quieten yourself down and calm yourself down to allow your olfactory bulb to start picking up all these subtle notes because they are very subtle. That's for
They
sure.
are. Yes. I mean, when I opened it on Friday
Yeah.
and thought, "Oh, I ought to just have a little sniff and a taste." And there I was again, this pearlescence is just stunning, and I
It
was
is.
interested to know more about the plant and the honeydew because it is a lot lighter than most
Yeah.
honeydews, isn't it? Um,
Yes. Yes.
and it is just so pearly. But again, the aroma that I pick up was the dominance is the lactic. It is
Yeah.
just creamy, a very, very light toffee. Um,
Mm.
just yeah, but nothing strong at all.
No, there's nothing overbearing about this honey at all. She's very, very she's rather gentle and sophisticated, I think.
Oh, just like you, that's why you've picked her.
Oh, stop it.
Oh,
So yes, the pearlescence and this really pale color is unique to this particular scale insect and the trees growing around this area. The this one comes from the Panachaiko Mountains, but there is a mountain range that's more or less in the center of the Peloponnese, and the kind of the region in the center of the Peloponnese is known as Arcadia. It is really called Arcadia, and I think that's rather lovely and charming for at Christmas time to have this honey that comes from this rather, what we tend to think of in the West as a rather poetic, literary concept of Arcadia being this lost pastoral kind of idyll where human beings and nature live in harmony, and life is very simple and beautiful. And so this honey seems to epitomize that. There's something kind of rather beautifully simple yet incredibly rare and beautiful about it. It sort of has a preciousness to it that's quite extraordinary. So yeah, I think it's beautiful that this insect seems to have developed this symbiotic relationship with the honey, and to make it so pale, because there are other mountain ranges around the Penelope. I always want to call them the Penelopes, Peloponnese, which have other insects and other types of aphids and other scale insects. And there the colour starts to get slightly more red and more amber. And actually red fir honey is really amber and rich and quite has really orange red tones, and is much, much bolder and much richer in flavour. But this one is just unique and extremely pale and interesting. Yeah, beautiful. So I'm going to dig in and have a bit of a taste now.
Now, I couldn't resist. I had to just dig in.
You already have.
I
I
noticed
have.
you were getting stuck in.
I know. Do you know what I'm picking up is sort of cooked banana.
Oh.
And that quite surprised me because I wasn't expecting that, and I don't remember that from Friday.
Interesting. Now,
But
Claire, I'm
definitely
really
not
sorry. It
right.
takes such a long time to dissolve on your tongue because it's so thick, so thick. And for me, a little bit like the aroma. The very first things that hit you is it's incredibly warm and lactic. It's really silky. It's like a lovely soft caramel, very caramelly, and there is a little bit of hint of vanilla. But it's interesting that you pick up on the fruit notes, because for me, what it reminds me of, the other day I was clearing out a cupboard in the kitchen, and I had a very old packet of sultanas,
Mhm.
and I think they dated back to about 2023. So I thought, oh, I think I should probably get rid of those. And I soaked them in some water so to put them into a mix for the birds in the garden. And suddenly the smell from the soaking raisin currants was exactly the flavor aroma that I pick up when I taste this. I just thought, wow, that's what it is. It's dried fruit that's been
Mm.
soaked. It's that really kind of
It's
curranty,
like
raisiny,
Christmas.
fruity.
Yes.
Again, like Christmas, perfect for
Mm.
Christmas. But also, I thought I could get a little bit of apple, because there's a slight kind of
Mm.
once you move past the fruitiness, you then go on another little journey, which is the aromatic journey. And that has a little bit of, for me, church incense. I don't know if you've ever stepped inside to a Greek Orthodox church, but they have these beautiful incense burners that are in like a kind of a sphere on a chain, and they swing them, and the churches get filled with smoke, and it can be quite heavy at the time that they do it. But actually, a day or two after, if you go into the church, what's left behind is this very beautiful, slightly chalky, very delicate incensey smell, which is quite refreshing. It's a little bit camphorous, but it's delicate, and I pick that up in this. I get it as an aroma, kind of retronasal aroma experience with the flavour, and inside that seems to be this appliness,
Mm.
like a green apple. Do you
Well,
get
yeah,
that?
I'm thinking of a Bramley apple.
Yeah.
It's been very it's like when you peel it
Yes.
ready to make your crumble, it's that smell.
It is, isn't it? It's weird.
Mm.
So there's lots of fruitiness going on in there, as well as this lovely, warm, caramelly flavour. Little tiny bit of vanilla in there. And it's not a strong flavour. Again, it's quite a mild, delicate flavour. But despite that, it's still quite full bodied. It's still lingering on the palate. And the flavour that I get left with is, it goes back to sort of a raisiny kind of, like a sauterne wine. It's kind of sweet and raisiny on the finish, and that stays on the back of my tongue for quite. I can still taste it now. It's there for quite a long time. I find.
I'm thinking now custard, and I'm not going to
Custard!
clever. But yeah, I'm sort of thinking, oh, apple, stewed apple with custard, because
Yeah.
you've really got that lactic note.
Yes.
But
It's very,
mm,
very decadent. The texture of this, Claire, the only way I can describe it is it's incredibly thick. It's really luxurious. It's so silky. And the best way I can describe it to you would be if you could imagine the best kind of silk velvet in this lovely sort of shimmery antique gold color, it would be that honey. It's
mm.
it's just so sumptuous and luxurious. It's really very special. I have to put out a very big thank you to a lovely lady who I'm sure you would have met at Copenhagen, Paula. She's called Maria Nicolaou. She was on the Greek stand of the honey bar. She produces vanilla fir honey, and I asked her to help me a little bit with researching everything about this honey. And she said something very, very beautiful about this honey, which I'd like to share with you. So bear with me while I look at my notes. She says, "This honey has a quiet sophistication. It doesn't shout to be noticed, it lingers instead, calm, complex, and confident. It is a honey born of altitude, silence, and time.
Mm.
It's impossible to imitate. It's unmistakably Greek." I just thought, oh, that's so beautiful.
That is amazing.
I love that.
And you know,
Yes,
I think what you're showing here is the real value and importance of honey sensory
yes,
analysis. Because anybody just buying a jar of this would go, oh, it's a pale honey, it's quite thick. And if you were to
doesn't
gulp
smell of
it down,
much.
you'd miss it. Yes, you'd miss so much of it. But just highlighting the pearlescence and the viscosity and sharing the
Mm,
story of how it is formed, and then, creating this image of the landscape and of the beekeeper, and just all the
yes,
layers of the story of producing it are then layered in the complexity and the subtlety of the story. Because with all
definitely.
beekeeping, we don't, we buy a jar of honey, but very few people know how that honey is produced. And that quiet work of the beekeeper, and the even quieter, darker work of the bees is missed, isn't it?
Yeah,
We don't
yeah,
know that,
yeah.
and yet it's that story that comes through with the flavors when you give it time, when you really
Yes,
contemplate it.
yes. Now, if I had bought you or found you a sample that came from, it's called, let's see, Mount Mainalo. I think that's how I meant to pronounce it. Mount Mainalo is right in the center of Arcadia, and it goes up to about 2,000 meters. So it's very, very high. And the vanillifer produced in that region in 1996 was recognized by the EU as a PDO product, so
Wow.
a product of protected designation of origin, because you cannot find it anywhere else in the world and it is so unique. So it really is very, very precious. And there's only a few kind of mountain ranges around Arcadia and the sort of surrounding provinces where these particular Cephalonian fir trees grow in symbiosis with those scale insects to produce this really pale honey. So yeah, it's beautiful. When I was speaking to Maria, she said that she spoke of the trees in some areas as awakening to the heritage of Arcadia, which I thought sounded very profound and magical. And I kind of said, "Oh, do you kind of feel like the trees have a spirit?" And she said, "Well, I kind of do. There's definitely something," she said, "I pick up more through the bees." She said, "I have a very strong connection with the bees, and the bees connecting to the trees maybe give me this real feeling of strength." So there's something about the majesty of these great tall trees and the mountains and the altitude and the beauty of the area that must just make this very special relationship. So I want to go now. I want to go there.
Yes. I mean, I'm thinking that, and I'm wondering, about the forests around the world, Bhutan and in, Australia and Tasmania, and I'm thinking, gosh, is it, or even, South America, is that
Yes.
tree only found in Greece?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. They are. They it's a Kephalonian fir. So the island of Kefalonia is obviously just off the Peloponnese Peninsula. They do spread up into central Greece and around Mount Athos, but the honey that comes up this color is only from the Peloponnese. So it seems to be something about that insect and that place. Arcadia is the home of Pan. Maybe Pan is putting in some magical kind of sparkle to the honey. Who knows?
It it is so fascinating. I just love this. I've got sort of music coming into my head and
Oh,
paintings, it's just the
Mhm.
stories just from one honey
yeah,
that
yeah,
could
yeah, yeah.
be so easily
And we
missed.
all know about the mitochondria and the roots and all the messages under the soil. So I had a little look, and the mountains in that area are calcareous, so they are lime. So I'm wondering if there's
Mm,
some connection there. It's a very mineral rich honey. It's known to be very high in trace elements of magnesium, potassium, phosphorus,
mm.
and iron, as well as really high in the natural enzymes and proteins and vitamins. So it's so good for you as well. But that soil being so high up must have a purity to it, which is also um, sending its good messages into the honey. Yeah.
It
Oh
seems that every country has its own secret medicine cabinet in honey, and you can
yes,
find it, 'cause
definitely.
yeah.
Yes, yes. And, and then that is the linked with the plants and
Mm.
the trees, but also the insects, because if you were to do something with that vanilla pine, with the leaves or the bark or whatever, you're not going to get the same impact as you are from the honey. So the honeybees are the original medical herbalists. They're the alchemists
Hmm.
of the goodness of nature that pulling together, the soil, the plant, the insects, all these excretions, all these things that have to happen to then
Hmm.
create a powerful
Mm,
medicine. It's
mm. And it
genius.
is so timely because there are some years where the populations of the insects are so low, they simply can't harvest the honey, or that the spring may be just too wet, and it just the little droplets just get washed away, and they don't really have enough to be
Mm.
able to produce the honey. So I've prepared a few little nibbles. Christmas vanilla fir inspired nibbles. I don't know that you can see them, but they're quite simple. But I thought, well, I'm going to choose some chestnuts as it's Christmas time. And I found the other day when I was kind of rummaging through my spice cabinet thinking, what would go with vanilla fir honey? Because it's so delicate. I really don't want to overpower it. And I discovered caraway goes beautifully with vanilla fir. I think perhaps the caraway is picking up on that incensey aromatic note and the sort of slight kind of earthy woodiness, and they partner beautifully. So I've dunked my chestnuts in some vanilla fir,
Mhm.
and then I've sprinkled on some crispy bacon and some caraway seeds and a couple of little soaked raisins from my cupboard. I'm not going to eat it because it sounds rude, but I tell you, it's delicious.
Oh, wow.
And the other thing I did was I macerated some strawberries in the vanilla fir honey, because the vanilla fir just seems to massively intensify the strawberry flavor, like massively. And then dunked them in some chocolate. I am going to have that one. Mm.
Oh, this
Oh,
is
yum. I'd highly recommend. They're so yummy.
oh, wow. This is amazing. Gosh, I've got to do some baking for our Morris dancing group. We're
Oh,
having
lovely.
a festive gathering, and we're all bringing a plate, and everyone else in the group has been very organised and said what they're gonna bring, and I just I can't think like that, I'll have to wait for the inspiration. I think, "Oh, that's what I'm gonna make," but they are being very organised. But yeah, I think the chestnuts might be an idea, but I don't know if I'll have any caraway seeds. I don't think that's something that's in my spice cupboard. I
Oh,
got rid of a lot of things
Leave them
before we
out.
went away. So whereas I would quite feasibly have had vintage sultanas in my cupboard, I no longer have vintage anything.
yeah. The Good Earth in Wales gave me a recipe for marzipan. It was ground almonds, and the only other ingredient is honey, and you just put in enough
Yes.
honey until it all binds. So
Yes.
that, I mean,
Perfect.
that could
There you
be a
go, roll.
that could
You
be a
just need to
simple
roll
one,
out some
couldn't it?
marzipan, and then get your
And then you
little,
take
I
them
don't
into
know,
balls.
snowflake cutters,
You
angel
make them into little
cutters.
balls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that'd be something quick.
Yes, yeah.
definitely.
I've made my own marzipan, but with coconut sugar, which makes it look very dark brown, so it's all right if you're
Oh,
gonna ice
yes.
on the top, but, no, with honey, that's a perfect idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Kirsty, this has
Okay.
been such a joy, and thank you so much because
Oh, my
you've
pleasure.
given
Thank you
this
so much
honey,
for
you know
for inviting me.
oh, no, it's been a real pleasure, and you've elevated this honey from, a random little pale creamy honey to something that needs a special label, a gold label, I think, a sparkly oh, look at that.
It does, it does, it does. And thank you also to Maria for her beautiful knowledge, sharing her beautiful knowledge with us, and yeah, being so passionate about such a beautiful part of Greece.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I've never been to Greece, so it is somewhere I do need to go. I need to do a honey tour, I think, of Greece, but,
Oh, definitely. We'll go together. I think it's the best place to go for
yes,
honey, definitely.
yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much, and until next
Pleasure.
time, see you all then.